Hi, I'm Dave Epstein, Executive Director of the Susilo Institute for Ethics in the Global Economy. I'm here today with Linus Junkman and Claudia Sundberg. They're of the Value Agency, a consulting agency here in Sweden. So thank you very much for spending the time with me. I'd like to get an idea first of what the company is and why you started it, and maybe you could just talk about it a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, the company itself, we kind of see culture, macro and micro. We see culture as an engine for any kind of organization, the way they want to work. So we have a method of working where we kind of combine the elements of research and storytelling with data. So we call it data-driven storytelling, where we help organizations to kind of specify the ethics, the values, the morals, basically anything of substance to that subject for organization.
And Claudia, why did you want to start this with Linus?
Well, we've worked together for about 3 years, and the processes that we have been working on have become very good. The results have been fantastic, so we have helped many organizations and we have had very much fun along the way.
That's good. That sounds like a good thing to do, and it sounds like it's something that would be very useful to corporations and companies, and clearly by your success that's the case. So can you maybe give me some advice, or give some advice to our listeners here of what should people who come to Sweden from another country know about the culture of business in Sweden or business people in Sweden?
I think that one of the more interesting aspects of Sweden is something called the U reform in the 70s, which basically took away all the titles. And ever since then it has infused Swedish work ethics and work culture with the sense that everyone, regardless of title, has the exact same value. So I think that's a very important standpoint, to be very egalitarian when you can, in the perspective you have. And also that is much more about collaboration than performance. We have very few organizations that have a strong leaning on individual performance and achievement, but rather way more on collaboration, working together, participation of a group of people. For some reason that's part of the Scandinavian culture.
So in everyday life, when you come to an office, make sure to treat the receptionist the same way you treat the CEO.
I would say that in many cultures, you might be worried that you can't get something done if nobody's driving it, if everybody's equal and there's no kind of hierarchy of let's get this stuff done. So how do you respond to that? Why would it work here in that case?
Well, it works, but only works if you add a lot of engagement to people. If you find the things that causes intrinsic motivation, then the force of a lot of people that want the same thing to happen is amazing. But when you don't have that, then you get a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of people just sitting around. You get the cons of consensus culture. So I would say it is all about that spark, and that's why culture, motivation, leadership, all those soft aspects that we wrongfully call soft, I think, has a profound effect on the general organization here.
We hear about the word lagom, which means just the right amount, and not too great and not too bad, and everything is kind of in the middle. How does that affect business and the drive to get something done and to make more money?
I think lagom would, translate to modesty, and that's usually what it is. Not too much, not too little. Be modest, and that sometimes that last percentage of ambition is sometimes lacking. But at the same time, if you look at companies that are incredibly ambitious, that last percent also usually come with a high cost of people, burnouts perhaps, or something like that. So there's a trade-off, I think. At the same time, when you get a lot of people that are truly engaged in what you're doing, that kind of just dissolves as well. And all of a sudden, no one talks about lagom. And you have people that are working 80 hours a week, but they do it by their own choice because they simply have because they've idealistically become a shareholder of something. That's the transition I see.
And I think it's also worth to add that lagom doesn't mean the middle way. It means not too much and not too little. And on a scale, that can be towards much, but it doesn't have to be too much. So it's not always in the middle. That's not the essence of lagom. Lagom can be quite a lot or quite less.
So one last question I would like to ask, and that is, what is the worst mistake you could make when coming to Sweden to do work here in business?
I think one big mistake one could do is to forget that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and mix those up and instead talk too much and listen too little.
Thank you very much. This has been very interesting. Tribute to your success here and to helping the cultures, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.